All, this is Dr. Mubin Sayed from Drbeen.com. Welcome to one more show. So the Flurona or Deltacron are not there. Flurona is flu and Omicron or corona together. That is possible. In general, a patient can be infected by both, or other supra infections or secondary infections are possible. Deltacron seems to be a more of a lab mistake where they observed the sequences for both. So that is possible that a person may have both of the viruses, or the lab samples may have been contaminated. There could be many reasons. So I wanted to make sure that we look at some of the evidence, which there are so many other presenters who have done that as well. I just wanted to share a few from the next uh, strain as well. So let's start. And thank you very much for joining me so late. Do you want to have a chit chat after this as well? Luffy has actually gone to sleep. So he's going to wake up at 1 o'clock and then wake me up as well. Miles says, have you played any ping pong lately? No, not lately. So let me quickly get over this topic, and then if you like, we can do a chit chat as well. So let's start. So here, the cut, Congress to all, despite ominous reports you may have seen on social media over the weekend. Assorted COVID-19 experts believe Deltacron, a supposed coronavirus super strain, does not exist. So I think you all know the story that Bloomberg reported. Lendius Kostrikis, if I am pronouncing correctly, professor of biological sciences at the University of Cyprus and the head of lab of biotechnology and molecular virology, had identified a strain combining both highly infectious variants, which he thought was responsible for 25 COVID-19 cases. So interesting. So he, of course, good thing he did that he reported it. We will see in the future if the strain is more pathological or more contagious, or if it will prevail. Kostrikis warns, spooky, but then came other scientists. So before we look at the other scientists, and I'm sure that you've seen them as well, I wanted to make sure that one, sometimes please check out the Arctic Networks documents as well. These are the documents that Tom Peacock has referred to. And then secondly, for yourself as well, look at the next strain. What is happening is, what we're saying is the following, and I cannot make it bigger on the screen because as soon as I zoom it, it breaks. So I'm going to leave it like this, but this orange is, I believe, the Omicron lineage. And somewhere here, this one is Delta lineage here. So what we are saying is that this lineage, Delta lineage, all of a sudden adapted the Omicron's sequences or mutations, or Omicron adapted the Delta sequences. And here is how it is difficult for do. I mean, nothing is impossible, but why this is difficult is the following. Let's say we have this one virus, original ancestor, right? So from this ancestor virus, we had one line after multiple mutations, which was the delta. Right? And so these mutations are usually moving forward. And so this was a line generated. Now, what we are saying is, let's say here is another generation, that is Omicron, which was somewhere over here. It got structured or developed from here, from this level. Now, what we are saying is that somehow the sequence, the genetic material, and the mutations of Delta appeared in the Omicron mutations. And the mechanism that was thought to be there was that within one cell, and remember that was a discussion we did a few days ago as well, that the Delta the Omicron virus may have picked up some messenger RNA pieces from humans or from other human coronaviruses. So here is this virus's genome. Let's say this is Delta, and here is the genome of Omicron. Let's say this person is co-infected by them. Ideally, what would happen is Omicron would very quickly eradicate Delta from this person because of the mechanism we have discussed in the past. Here we are talking something else. What we are saying is that R or viruses polymerases. Polymerases are the enzymes that will pick up the genetic material and kind of make copies of it. And we did this discussion a few days ago where we discussed how the polymerase can actually, while making a copy of some genetic material, can leave making the copy, take a break, then pick up the same thread and continue making the remaining copy, or skip some parts and then make the copy, or pick up some other thread and insert a little change in there, and so on. So there are multiple outcomes. I have done that talk in the back in a few days ago in a separate talk. Now what we're saying is that this polymerase is an enzyme that makes copy of the DNAs or RNA. This polymerase, let's say, picked up Omicron and it was making a copy of the Omicron sequence, and then wholesale a huge Delta set of mutations all got accidentally added to it. So even when we use a technology's name as recombinant, this is called recombination, still such wholesale level of recombination is not possible. Mutations are possible. It is possible similar mutations appear, but exactly similar, exactly same, and then in these very diverse variants. So either so many of the Omicron changes ended up on Delta, or so many of the Delta changes ended up on Omicron. That is the problem. That naturally, in normal behavior, it takes so many months and years and continuous recombinations to produce such exchanges. Even then, not to this wholesale level. Because if this kind of a thing was happening, imagine coronavirus, human coronavirus is present in everyone, almost in everyone, 86% of the people. We would have had wholesale human coronavirus exchanges with SARS-CoV-2, and the thing, either all human coronaviruses in us would have become really dangerous, or SARS-CoV-2 would have become just nothing in a few months. So going this way or this way needs a lot of changes. And I always give this example of a vaccine that when other vaccines are made, not these vaccines, when other vaccines are made, sometimes we take a human virus and we teach it to infect a chicken cell. And once it has learned to work with the chicken cell and forgotten how to work with the human cell, then we put it back in the humans and that becomes a vaccine because the virus cannot do much. It has forgotten how to work with us. And now we will learn how to attack it. That is a similar behavior here. Delta and Omicron are so different in their origins that wholesale exchange of information or sequences in that recombinant behavior is very, very difficult. Unless somebody hand holds them and fuses them and does some function with them, that would be the one possibility. But just automatic recombination of such large sequences will be a very difficult thing. So now let's look at some of the messages. So here, Tom Peacock's messages, if you see here, he has been one Dr. Tom Peacock, a virologist with Imperial College London, tweeted that the evil sequences look to be quite clearly contamination, which apparently happen in all labs, at least sometimes. Then the Dr. Bohuma Kabisen Titanji A virologist and researcher at Emory University agreed, asking the public to please interpret with caution. The thing is this, you could say that, hey, everybody is wrong. They're not providing a scientific proof. They're just saying how this happens. However, Tom Peacock actually has given, and interestingly, I opened up the next train as well as the first go to say, okay, I need to see how far apart they are. And he also has this. And what he's talking about is how the some of the sequences are actually impossible to be under each other's backbone for these two. So that was very interesting. It is worth reading this. And then there is this person. She is, I think, from WHO. So WHO, there is not, I think, much of the tech thing here. She simply says, "Okay, people, let's make this teachable movement. There is no such thing as Deltacron, just like there's no." So I do not know what is a teachable movement in there, but Tom Peacock's message seems to be more technical oriented. And for your own self as well, please look at these strains and see how far back they're different. And then for them to take those sequences wholesale would be very, very difficult. Almost naturally, almost impossible. This is why we have human coronaviruses living in our throats and still not becoming one type of virus. They still stay separate because they cannot just become recombinant in such with such an ease. So that is the discussion. And I'm gonna see here. News outlets would do whatever they can to get to a point that you can click it and you can. Um, I was looking at some of the CDC and studies lately, which are totally incorrectly positioned. And somebody asked me, I said, I'm going to talk about this. And they said, what are you going to call it? And I said, I'm going to call it manufacturing fear. There is a lot of manufacturing of fear. I think the media just, they get a lot of benefit from this. You click on it, you go there, people get millions of views, so all good for them. But at the same time, it creates a lot of anxiety. So um, hopefully this will be the last talk for today. I wanted to talk about Usha, but I want to listen to that a few times and make my notes and then have some updates as well. The messages that the Usha person was giving in the court, or the from the studies, those messages cannot stand on their feet. So I'm going to see if I can do that homework maybe tomorrow and discuss that. Jody says, I was watching earlier videos and didn't know we were live now. Thank you very much. So if you have questions, how about we do this? We can do a quick chit chat as well, and then we can all go to sleep in another half an hour. So I'm going to turn off this one. So please like, subscribe, and share. This is my customary message. Like, at least, that would help this expand. And if you would like to support this work, there are links in the description. You can buy me a coffee, or you can use PayPal, or you can be a patron. So thank you very much. I'll see you in a few minutes for a chit chat, and maybe half an hour we'll talk. Thanks. Bye bye.